Police officers assembled outside a Bronx tenement. They believe Larry Davis was harbored in the apartment of another sister, and they wanted him for questioning in the slaying of 4 reputed drug dealers in late October.
Welcome, world, to another edition of Belly Broke Podcast, baby. And I am your boy, your homie, your home skillet, your home slice. You already know we go back like cornrows in this thing. Low Fro, you know, aka Black, aka Spider-Man, aka Black Dragon Phoenix X-Ray Zulu 1. And I'm joined today with my co-hostesses. You already know who they is, but I'm gonna let them introduce themselves.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to join us. Your boy DIV, live and direct, live in full effect. And I'm back with it. I got the energy for you. So I hope you enjoy the show.
You need a lozenger?
I might. It's your boy Susana OMG, back in this thing again with my partners in crime once again. We got a very good one for you today, one you're gonna enjoy very much, informative, historical, a lot of badassery going on,
Yeah.
Just, I don't want to ruin it for you, so I'm not gonna say the fourth thing. Just know you're gonna enjoy it, you're gonna learn a lot. Once again, it's your boy Susana OMG. Let's get right to it. Who's going to start it off for us? Who's going to tell us the story of?
I'll take the reins, and start whipping up at people on the side, I'll ride the horse.
Okay, I'm gonna take them reins right back. You fucking border patrol, all right? The fuck?
But we're going to talk about today Larry Davis. That's Larry Davis, a hood legend. If you ain't never heard of this man, do your research, Google him, look him up, watch the documentary. It's out there. Check him out. Legit OG, triple OG, honestly, probably Black Superman. Like, that's the closest shit we gonna get in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? Because they already think our asses can take shots and bullets.
All I want to say, only thing I want to add on to this is like, if we don't tell our stories, they will. You're not gonna like the version that they tell of our stories.
Hell.
All day I want to put out there, man.
Look at Thanksgiving. Shit. Anyway. So, Larry Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stress enough how courageous this man is. But let's go from here. So, back in the day, I think it was like the 80s. He was a DJ. He was doing good. He was doing real good. One day he got approached, he got in some trouble, got approached.
He was also a rapper too.
He was also a rapper too. So he was like, this is back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So his name was popular in town too. Like, people knew who he was. He wasn't like, he was a popular guy. Anyways, so he got into some trouble. I can't remember exactly what he did. What was it that he did? But that don't really matter. He got into some trouble. The police approached him, like, hey, if you want to get out of this trouble, work for us. Sell these drugs for us and all this shit. So he's like, fuck it, got no choice. So he's out here selling and doing dealings and all this type of shit in the streets, working in the streets, basically for the cops, and they're making money off of him, all that shit. So one day, this man decides, fuck these niggas. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna work for these niggas no more. And anything I fucking make off of their asses, I'm taking that shit. Fuck them, they ain't getting shit from me. So that being said, the police word gets back to the cops. The cops are like, oh, this nigga is bugging. We're gonna run down on this piece of shit and fuck him up. He must not know about us. So what happened? These cops decided to do like this raid. A bunch of cops came up with the idea that, oh, who the fuck this dude think he is? This black motherfucker think he crazy? And mind you, this is back in the day, and it's like all white cops in the Bronx. Right? Yeah, in the Bronx. Yeah. So they decided to find where this man lives and decided they're gonna run into his house, right? And they're
hold on. So it was his sister's house. He was over there with the kids.
Yeah, sister's house.
They had guns right in my face, rifles, not guns, rifles, like they were coming to kill somebody.
His sister's house. Thank you. His sister's house. They're gonna run in there and get this nigga because they found out he was there, right? So from what they said, the cops went in there and started pulling people out, right? They started pulling people out, and people that were in the area asking questions and shaking people down.
This is in the house. This is an apartment complex.
It's an apartment
With like over what? I think like 400 rooms. I think it was. It's all over in there.
Yeah, sound crazy.
It's a big ass building. 30 cops deep. Go ahead. Go.
Yeah. So there's a way the cops tell it, and there's a way that Larry Davis tells it, right? But what they said, this is what happened. The cops decided to run up into this guy's apartment building, which is down a narrow hallway, and they're running, and it's almost a death funnel. They run into this man's house, and to get to him, they're running down like a straight path with like weak walls and shit, and like they're almost like the ducks in a row, right?
To see them in there ready to fire again. So I went into the bathroom, came in, and I knew where they were. And I started firing through the wall, and I knew exactly where they were, and I hit another one in the mouth, and I can hear them say, "He's coming through the wall, he's coming through the wall, get out, back out."
As soon as he heard that dude was coming, he shot at the dude through the mouth, through the back of the head, lifted him off into the other cops, scared the shit out of all the other cops. They started busting everywhere, shooting everywhere, and they were shooting each other and all that shit. Then some of them get into the building, and as they're coming in, they shoot through the door and shoot through the wall because the wall is real thin, and hit some of them cops already, and they're all frantic and scared and trying to pull each other out. And still more cops come in. They shot, and when they shot at him, he went back and the bullet like grazed the top of his head. And he came back up and shot him. So this man was like doing some Matrix shit before the Matrix was even like a thing. Like this man was out here dodging bullets and all this other shit. So he's taking out cops, and they're pulling the cops out. And mind you, the crowd is building up outside. So they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" The cops are like, you got all types of people showing up there, townspeople, people going there, coming around, and you got people who got their faces blown off. Then there was a lady who got one of the lady cops got her face blown off. Yeah, so people were getting fucked up. And mind you, again, these cops were shooting each other. So there's people.
Not to mention, while he was in the kitchen before the other cop came and tried to shoot him from the window, them cops was just funneling in there, and he just like, bow, pick them off as they were coming in. Bow, pick them off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like they didn't think about nothing. And in the video, they were saying that the people who were on the scene, they said they were smelling alcohol on the cops' breaths and all that shit. And some of the cops were drunk, and like some of them just didn't. They were all just run up in there, loaded and crazy and drunk and all that shit, frantic. They didn't have no plan or nothing like that. Up until this point, after the cops were dragging each other out and the crowd was building up outside, for the cops will tell their story saying that there was some detective that ran up out of nowhere and ran into the building, and they don't know who it is. And he said they followed him in there to make sure they helped him. And then when they got in there later, Larry Davis opened up fire on them as soon as they went in there. Or some shit.
So that's what the cops said. Cops say Larry Davis started shooting first. What happened was the cop with the shotgun, he started shooting at Larry Davis first. And that's what set everything off into motion where Larry Davis was doing all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
The cops tried to make up their excuse talking about, oh, nah, his sister was there and the kids were there. They weren't trying to shoot him, so that's why they weren't shooting back as much. And Larry Davis just gave no fucks about his family. He's like, when that is not the case, you heard Larry Davis say in the video that we all watch, that he was trying to protect his nieces and his sister, keeping them separate and everything, trying to draw the fire away from them.
Can I always stop you there? Remind you, these cops are out to kill him. Yeah, and he knows this. They're like, so go ahead. These cops are out to kill him. Like,
So during the whole shootout, Larry Davis is not only trying to, because again, why do you need? If the cops said they were there to bring him in alive, but they're coming 30 deep. Some of them drunk and fucked up. Some of them don't even know why the fuck they there, but they're coming there fully strapped up to come get this man. And they go and try and front, but oh no, we was just trying to bring him in peacefully and shit. No, they was there to murder that man. They was there to murder that man. They came in there fully armed to the T, shooting shit. So then he shot back, busting shots, fucking pulling off the matrix as the motherfucker trying to come through the window behind him. Shot that motherfucker. The cops start funneling. He's like, bow, bow, shooting at them. They're shooting at. He's blasting through the walls and everything. And then last ditch effort. I'm gonna let you go from there. Where he
no, you go ahead. No, you're doing it good. All right, shit. I'm gonna talk a whole lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So as the cops they're swarming in, he's like, yo, shit, family's here. All these cops are coming in. I need to get the fuck out of here. So what does the man do? Without even a fucking second thought, this nigga jumps out the fucking window, man. Jumps out. The fence is about like 20 feet away from the building. He's about, I want to say he was on the 4th floor. He's on the 4th or 5th floor. This man jumps out of there, clears the fucking fence, lands in another yard next door to his apartment complex, hits the ground, gets up. There's some fucking dogs there. This man just takes off sprinting, hopping over fence, and just takes the fuck off. Launches this whole motherfucking manhunt for him, locking down the city, looking for one man. Locking down the city, man. The shit is crazy. He goes and hides out in some projects where one of his friends lived at. From there, for the next couple of weeks, he's just constantly on the move. And at one point, the mayor at the time, he held a press conference in the middle of the street, talking about how they're gonna catch Larry Davis, how he's a menace and all this. The whole time he's talking all this shit about Larry Davis. Larry Davis is right behind the mayor. He's right there in the crowd, right next to him, listening to this motherfucker talk all this shit about him.
Yeah, right there. That shit's crazy.
While the manhunt is still going on. This is how fucking idiotic the police was at the time.
And how much balls this man had. This is like, yo, fuck this. Like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like,
the man let fucking Larry Davis do. Now, I'm not here to praise Larry Davis about everything that he fucking did, but you gotta give credit where credit is due for some of the shit that he did do, man. Like, yo, this is some unheard of shit for anybody to fucking accomplish. Yeah. I know at one point, as everything was going on, as he's ducking out, he's still trying to collect this drug money and get all this shit going on, according to the reports. Some bodies did turn up that Larry Davis did end up killing and shit.
But what about when the whole process of him turning himself in, when he was like,
yeah, I'm about to get that.
Oh, my bad. All right.
So he ends up going to this one family, 6 people being held hostage in like an hour standoff thing, like for quite a few hours. He was in a standoff with the police, and the police there trying to tell him, hey, surrender, come out with your hands up, and he's like, fuck no, I ain't coming out there. Y'all need to go get the fucking FBI, get somebody who ain't part of fucking the police to come get me. The whole time he's there telling me, I'm not gonna do nothing to y'all. To be honest, I'm not doing that. But this is a situation where that's why I say I'm not gonna say he's like a saint or not, because he's not. He legit held 6 people hostage during his final standoff with the fucking police. 6 people got held hostage by him, but he wasn't gonna go out without a fucking fight, and he wasn't really gonna kill them people. So once they did get the FBI involved, and he could guarantee Larry Davis safety, that's when he decided to turn himself into the police. And then he went to trial, which he got acquitted from every fucking thing. Bro. He got acquitted, acquitted.
That is the most amazing part of this whole story. Just to want to point that out. If y'all haven't been listening, like all that crazy shit that he's already done, this Superman shit, fucking Peter Parker off the wall shit, like all this crazy shit.
During the trial
of blowing the face off of female cops and shooting cops is the most amazing part of this story. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So on top of all that, he went to court. Now, some people wanted to complain about his court hearing because his jury was an all-black jury with, I think, about 2 Hispanics. The rest were all black people, so there was people there complaining about that shit. Oh no, that's not fair. He should never had all black tonight. Black people can't make their fucking choices on what's right or wrong.
And they want to be offensive about it too. Like, what the
hell? Like that shit irked me when I heard that as I was doing my research on Larry Davis. Like that shit irked the hell out of me hearing these people complaining that a black man had a jury of black people versus all them other court cases where a black man been tried by a white judge with a white prosecutor, a white defender, and a white jury. That's supposed to be fair, but nobody complains about that. But the one time that he has a black jury, now everybody want to complain about it. They try to bring up charges from previous from before the shootout, where again he killed some people when he was working for the police as a drug dealer. The cops tried to label him as an informant that went rogue for them during the trial. The people, again, these are people from New York. They understood the situation. They seen the evidence. They're like, yes. But at the same time, the cops are crooked. They applied a lot of pressure to him. During the whole time while he was working for the police, the turning point for him, which DIV said, he was like, he ain't selling drugs no more. This was the point. What had happened was that caused him to start thinking like this. His girlfriend at the time was pregnant, and she died from using drugs. And then that caused him to be like, yo, like he was already iffy about selling drugs for the police. Like, yo, who the hell really wants to work for the police like that? But when that happened, that just solidified it and made him like still his nerves and was like, yo, I'm not doing this no more, no matter what you say. And then the cops went berserk. And then it was like, yo, you're going to push it, so we're going to come get you. And that's how I ended up with 30 cops there coming for him and all the wild shit, the manhunt going on the way and shit. Because he had a change of heart, and he was, after everything happened with his girlfriend and his son, and his child. Anyways, he went to court, got acquitted, everything. He still ended up in jail. I forgot what they actually got him on to make him actually go to jail still.
The weapons.
What's that?
He got a weapons charge the first time.
Yeah.
So that got him like 5 years, either 5 or 15 years. And then later on, they tried him for like 4 bodies. Or at least one of the murders, like before, while he was selling drugs.
Exactly.
And then that's when they got him for 25 to life.
Yeah.
And even then his lawyers say that they think that, all that was just put on him as a way to frame him just so they could have him, locked up for good kind of thing.
Yeah. In fact, before we even get that, he gets stabbed up a shitload of times in jail.
He gets beat up by the cops too.
Like, yeah, he gets beat up by the cops. He's stabbed in jail. He's constantly in and out of the hospital. He actually changed his name to, was it
Abdul something?
Yeah, Abdul. That's the basketball player. Yeah, but he changes his name to a Muslim name. He wants to be referred from that henceforth. But I still call him Larry Davis because like Larry Davis is the motherfucking man. Anyways, in jail, the cops.
What are we talking about later?
They want to say it's an isolated incident, but you already know them cops ain't letting shit go. Not only are they beating on him and just like giving him a hard time in jail, they end up getting one other criminal in there that's already doing life to go over there and stab this man up. I mean, it's ridiculous amount. He survives it, but then he later dies in the hospital. Again, I don't believe the doctors really tended to him. I don't believe the cops really wanted the doctors to tend to him. So I believe there was a bunch of other circumstances because I believe that if they truly cared about saving that man's life, he would have still been alive to this day after that shit. But that shit went down. He died in jail. And then the inmate, he ended up getting like, I think 10 years in jail after that.
Like what Larry Davis represented was some crazy shit. And it may not be like, now what can I compare it? What's the
he's not Superman. He's not y'all hero or this Boy Scout perfect thing.
Yeah, but he represents like a rebellious type of thing. Yeah. It's like not even just rebellious, but you're fighting to protect yourself and like defending yourself. Yeah, like it's your right to defend yourself against somebody that's trying to take your life. And if your people see that, if you say like he legit like prove that if you defend yourself, like you kind of come out of it. Because the people seeing what happened for real. And I guess it was all the stars aligned. You know what I'm saying? It's something that really happened, something that doesn't usually happen, and it's just like all the things that happened was justified. Like everything he did, him like defending himself, defending his family, running away, coming back, all the shit that he did was like, yo, you could fight, you can actually fight against these motherfuckers and like defend yourself. So it's a story. All you hear is niggas getting shot all the time.
And not only that, just because you was doing wrong, once you realize once you realize you were doing wrong, you could always correct yourself. You could always correct yourself. You always have a fucking chance. And he seen the chance. He tried to take it. The cops tried to take it, and he wasn't gonna get that shit up without a fight. So when you truly believe in something, because he didn't believe in selling drugs. So then once he gave that shit up, and he truly believed, hey, I need to do right for the community, he stood on that shit. No matter what it took, he stood on that shit. He stood on it. His principles.
Yeah.
So those are just some things that Larry Davis represents, at least to me. Again, he's not no fucking saint, but you know what? We all ain't here. We all ain't meant to be fucking Superman. We're not. We're not all meant to be that.
I mean, he was pretty young when he did all this too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I read somewhere he was like, what, 19 or 20?
Like, if you see the documentary, you see him in the documentary when he's in, why he's in jail. The dude doesn't look that old. Doesn't look old at all. He looks he looks like a man, but he don't look like no old man. You know what I'm saying?
He died in 2008, I believe it was. After the whole incident, him get stabbed a bunch of times. He died in 2008 in jail.
Right.
So he never truly get his justice. So that's why I say Larry Davis is somebody who we need to talk about. Need to talk about how the corrupt ass police fucked over this man's life and got him sent to jail. Like,
the story of Larry Davis is a wild one at that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of interesting when you think about it, because just like you got the police over here, or at the very least, we're gonna be, I guess, fair in a sense, saying one faction of the police, wink, wink, chose him to, to sell their drugs because they want extra money. I'm guessing they had, but it kind of begs the question. I mean, we kind of already know where they got the drugs from, but it's like you have all these drugs, and now you forcing this kid, in a sense, to go out there and go sell it for you for whatever reason. And so it's just like, oh, when he was out there selling drugs and whatnot, and then and y'all notice it was him, it was like a case of them just turning a blind eye.
Because they was getting money. So when he was doing all the murders that they wanted to bring up in trial before that, before the shootout, when he was working for the police, the cops knew what he was doing. Matter of fact, the cops sent him to do some of them hits so that he could so he wouldn't have no competition when he's selling drugs, so that he'd be good and they could get
all that evidence. What is it? What's the word? Inadmissible or some shit like that. I can't remember. Yeah. So if all that was done under the cops can't. Right? He did that all while he was working for the cops. How the cops are going to use that shit with their approval, telling him to do that? How are they going to use that against him? Because it will make them look crooked too. Because everything he did was underneath the cops.
Yeah, but what they're saying, they didn't pull the trigger. It was him. So they try to bring the evidence up like, oh no, he killed this dude. Oh, he killed this one. He killed this one.
But I killed him because you told me I had you. I couldn't say no.
Himself. So he had to prove that he was working for the cops. The cops just had to prove that he killed these people. Is basically what they're trying to do.
Essentially,
they're trying to cover their trails. They're saying, "Hey, no, he wasn't working for us. He was doing this." But Larry is like, "No, I was working for y'all. I was working for this." And then they try to spin it again and say, "Yo, he was an informant that went rogue for us. He was a drug informant. He was working for us as an informant, not as a drug dealer. He was working as an informant. He's supposed to go undercover, find these people, give it to us so that we can arrest these people." When that was not the case.
I'm pretty sure they would have to have paperwork for all stuff like that, right?
But again, who's writing the paperwork though?
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, if the police are trying to say he was an informant that went rogue, wouldn't I would assume that there's some type of paperwork to say, hey, he is our informant. He's working for us, type of thing, right? Yeah. Or else it's just like, I mean, I would just figure there would be some type of, in a sense, checks and balances to this, to let people know, I guess, in the future, hey, he was working for us, but then this happened. So I don't know if they were ever able to prove that he was like an informant for them, and only an informant.
Yeah.
That went rogue. Because if not, then that whole argument right there is just bullshit. And so just like them trying to cover the ass.
So they did have the paperwork saying that he was an informant, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they also did an internal affairs investigation into the police and found out about all the crooked cops over there. Well, not all of them, but like, hey, there's a bunch of crazy shit going on in this police department. Not just them using drugs, but also about racism going on, about them profiling. Like shit came to light after that. So they weren't trying to draw too much light into the police department. And it was just trying to get Larry Davis being a rogue informant go bigger than that part.
But I remember you saying that. I remember you saying there was like two sides to it, or maybe it wasn't that. I can't really remember. He had blended together. But you had people that said, some cops liked them and other cops loved them. And the reason is exactly what you were just saying. What you described is why some cops could appreciate exactly what was getting exposed with the police force and the crooked cops, and the other cops were like, no matter what, this guy shot cops. He's a dirtbag. He deserves to go to jail. So it was like the cops were still. There were some cops that like what happened, or not like what happened, but would like Larry Davis, and then other ones that are just like, nah, fuck this dude. So that being it right there.
Yeah, and that's just because we're going to be fair to the police. Yes, there were some that were like, nah, like there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the police department. It's not all cops, but there are quite a few of them that we need to expose. And with this being said, even down to present day, if you go out to LA and still in NYPD, they got legit gangs inside these police departments, legit established fucking gangs, where this type of shit continues to go on. So if you want me to feel sorry for these cops that died, I'm not. I support Larry Davis. He made mistakes, yes. I'm not celebrating him like that.
I don't think anybody died.
What's that?
I don't think anybody died.
What you mean?
They just all got injured. Well, yeah, in that raid, nobody died.
No. Six cops got killed. He killed.
I thought they just got shot.
No. 6 cops died from that shootout. And at the time, that was the biggest killing of police in New York at the time by any individual. Larry Davis set records at this time.
No, I don't think they died. Here's what I say: I don't think they died. If police actually had died that day, he would have been dead.
No,
the fact that he hasn't lived until 2008.
So how he got to get? The man jumped out of the window with a bunch of cops who didn't truly know what was going on, beside the select few who was there to say they arrested him, but they were going to kill this man. He jumped out the window. They didn't even surround the building properly. That's how you know they didn't even go in with a good ass plan. They didn't.
So what is to kill this man? They're just going to
Any fucking building has 4 sides. That's 4 cops at the very least to watch each side to make sure he's not getting away.
Yeah, I mean they claim they put all that. The police claim they.
So you tell them, if you're watching the building, you're telling me you wouldn't see a man jump out of a window.
If you're saying you're outside doing security,
that's what I'm saying.
Chance you might not see that. Even if you said, I don't want to be on the cop side, so I'll be like, yeah.
Listen, ain't nobody alive who's supposed to be watching a building, looking at a building.
Oh yeah.
Don't see a man jump out before the 5th floor of a window across a fucking fence. That's not some shit that you miss unless some kid came down. Hey, Mr. Police Officer, I want to grow up to be like you. Okay, little Timmy, I'll be like you. As he jumping out the window. There's no way in hell you gonna miss this shit.
Like, Derek Johnson, what you doing talking to that kid?
Look what you made me do. Miss that nigga.
Like,
Johnson, why are you talking to that kid? Watch the window.
If they had a legit plan, they would know, okay.
He's an adorable kid. He said he wants to be there.
I need eyes on the building. Like, you on this side, you on the east side, you on the west side, you on the south side, you on the north side. We're going to be on the 4th floor. Okay? Watch the doors, watch the roof, watch everything in between. It's not that hard to just stare at the fucking building.
You know, I wonder, what cops were in the back? The ones that knew what was going on, you think you're in the back or in the front?
I think the ones who truly wanted him did run up there. I think they were up there to make sure that the shit get done, and then they brought the other ones as witnesses.
Yeah. But why so many though? Why so many?
Y'all gonna come up here with us, but we gonna go up in there and we gonna get this motherfucker. Like, even to this day, like, how many times do you see cops shoot first and then axe never?
Yeah. Breonna Taylor.
Yeah. So you expect me to believe these cops didn't go in there without the intent to kill? In the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
In the 90s? Are you serious? Like, nah,
and that's their old employee. Like, what do you think is gonna happen?
If this man talks, y'all all gonna go down?
Yeah.
No, we need to silence this motherfucker ASAP. Like,
I mean, there's a lot of
there's
a lot of things that I read. I said a lot. Well, I read a couple different sources just to make sure I got like the full understanding of what was going on. I didn't get a chance to watch the video though, so I really get a chance to listen to Larry Davis's, like, you know, from his own mouth, the side of the story. Like, I've gotten it from like the sister, a childhood friend, and like a reporter was doing something on it as well. So that's why I'm like, that's why some of the things probably ain't adding up, but at the end of the day, a lot of things were consistent. Him having to sell drugs for the police was definitely a consistent thing that I read. And just the whole raid itself. When y'all brought up the officer that went in first, I like, even before, I didn't really know y'all thoughts on it really, or like I forgot the story that y'all told me. But that one part was consistent as well, was just the police claimed that he fired first, but everybody else that was in there says that the police fired the first shot at him. And then, but I've seen somewhere else that said that he was also holding one of his nieces or something like that when they fired that first shot.
Yeah, they fired at him while he was holding his niece.
Yeah.
And that's why I said he was trying to keep the kids safe and his sister.
Oh yeah, they all getting it. They're all getting it.
Yeah,
so he ended up getting them into a whole nother room away from the gunfire. As he was
they don't care. If they're gonna shoot me with my niece in my hands, that means they don't care. That means nobody's getting arrested here, right? Nobody's getting arrested in this house. That means you're coming in here to kill everybody in this house. You're gonna shoot me with a child in my hand. So that's what I think.
I forgot who it was. I can't. I might be thinking of a different case, or it might be this case. But they were. But I think that I read somewhere where they were supposed to be. They said, the police, that it was this case. They at first they said that they went there just to question him in a sense, and that they weren't even supposed to be arresting him per se. They just went there. But then later on, that's when they switched it to, you know, they went there to, you know, arrest him, head state, you know, why they needed so many guns and so many people and all that stuff. And I guess it just, you know, it just so happened that they were kind of proven right in a sense, you know, just because he fired back. But everybody else and their mama knows that they went there to most likely kill that man.
Yeah.
It's like shades of, this whole thing kind of reminded me of Fred Hampton and how the police went in there and just basically killed him in a sense, even though they weren't supposed to be, you know, doing stuff like that, and then try to claim, you know, that it's because they feared for their lives. And
that's the Black Panther that was shot in the bed with his wife.
Yeah. I mean, oddly enough, he was the only person that died. Nobody else now. I don't think.
Crazy, right?
I want to say he was the only person that died, and they fired a shit ton of shots. If you've seen pictures of that, like not only the bed but just the apartment itself, a lot of shots were fired. But I want to say maybe two people died. I want to say. But there was a lot of people in that house for that to be such a low body count, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially considering just how much they put into it. So that's where that kind of reminded me of. But, you know, Larry Davis was armed, and he knew he had a feeling this was going to happen in a sense. Like, he told that to his sister, I want to say.
He
did. He was like, yeah, he knew they were going to come after me, but, you know, I'm gonna take a couple of down with me if I have to, in a sense. Is basically where he went with that.
I don't know. It's one of those stories. One of those stories that you never imagine it being real when you hear it. I think that everybody should check that dude out. Check out Larry Davis. I know I said it at the beginning. I'm gonna say it again. Look into him. It's an interesting story. I think it's unique. And you guys got any final thoughts for this? Any final thoughts on Larry Davis?
Final thoughts, man. Like, you can't again, don't let other people rewrite our history and tell our stories. Like, the police is supposed to mean something, but in some communities, what they mean is terror. That is literally what they mean. They give certain demographics, they've given them anxiety, giving them PTSD from just the police presence alone, from how they know they've been treated. They've seen their people being treated. Like, and you can't just believe what the police write down on their paperwork. Because one argument was, like, you got to look at the facts. This is what the police wrote down. This is what happened. Again, you want me to believe the same crooked cops who later got proven to be crooked, their paperwork, their paper trail, because that's what's considered an official document. So then now you just negate somebody's whole story of what the truth truly is. And that shit's not fucking right. You can't always just jump on the fucking police side just because they work for the government, just because they work for the fucking state. You can't. It's not right.
I mean, oddly enough, not to cut you off, but people say they hate the government but bad the police. So I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works either. Blue lives matter, but down with the government. Yeah.
Who do you think is gonna be smacking the shit out of you to fight you down? Like,
And for the police, just following orders is not an excuse. It was not an excuse back then, and it's not an excuse now. To say, oh yeah, I was just following orders. For all those other cops that ran up in there with them crooked cops, because I'm pretty sure that's what they're. Yeah, we was just following orders, you know. If you know a fucking situation is wrong, let it be known that it's wrong. Don't just blindly follow what other people are doing just because they're in a position of power in your fucking occupation. Because don't forget, that is just an occupation. That is just your job. One day you won't be a cop no more, and their position won't mean shit. And again, your position only means something to people in your organization. You think the CEO of fucking Jericel could come tell me what the fuck to do? Why? Because the position means nothing to me. It means zero to me. It means nothing to me. Because why? I'm not a part of that organization. So that whole argument of just following orders is me nothing. And to them people they're complaining about the black jury with no white people on it. So fucking what, man? Like, black people been going through this shit for years upon years. How about y'all go back and retry all those trials where black people have been hung, been killed, been falsely imprisoned, had a rape called on them, did 25, 30 years, and now only getting a fucking apology from the accusers. Even when there was inadmissible evidence in court. Even when they had other people backing them. But because, again, this lady filled out the paperwork to saying he raped me, that's all they fucking needed. Versus, hey, nah, he was with me the whole fucking night. Do you have any evidence? Because we had this paperwork saying that he raped her. Now he's going to do fucking 30 years in jail. DNA testing, in some cases, DNA testing has even proven the statements and things made by the prosecutors.
Yeah, I was about to say that. In the 90s. And DNA came out in the 90s. The 90s, bro. DNA came out in the 90s. Mind you, that's the whole 80s, the whole 70s. This is recorded television. It's ain't like 30s, 1930s, 1920s when fuck shit been happening. But from what the culture thought about people from the 80s back, DNA evidence came out and probably obliterated half of the preconceived notion about black people. And thanks to DNA evidence to prove that these motherfuckers was innocent, probably just blew shit out the water. Or people who were accused. Imagine how many motherfuckers were accused during the 90s. Thank God for DNA evidence that got them off because of DNA evidence.
And there's so many
all the niggas back in the 80s were so lucky.
I want y'all to honestly think about how many people have died in prison being falsely accused or had some crooked cops write the wrong paperwork on them. But because people want to just blindly follow these cops and just think that they're God amongst men because they got a fucking badge in the uniform. That they're just gonna jump on the bandwagon. Or better yet, they have an all-white jury dealing with a minority in the inner city where they already had these preconceived notions of this minority. And then they're supposed to consider them
their peers.
Their peers. How is that fair? But then when this one case comes up where the playing field got evened out, and it's not just like they just let him off the hook. He still went to fucking jail, even after they've proven that the cops was definitely corrupt at this time. And then he died in jail. And then people still want to complain and say it wasn't fair trial. He shouldn't have been acquitted of all that shit. That shit is, to me, that is like some of the most disgusting shit I've ever heard. Now again, that Larry Davis was not a saint. But what he did do, some of that shit represents a whole nother deeper meaning opposed to just saying he's a drug dealer that killed 6 cops. It means a lot more. That's my final thoughts, man.
Schoolface?
I hope this gets turned into a movie one day, how they turned you know, how they got what's it?
Bob
Like how they had the Fred Hampton movie and then the
Frank Lucas.
and then the NWA. Huh?
Like how,
oh yeah, and Frank Lucas. But no, just talking about how all those guys got movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like this should be made into a movie as well, you know. It's very interesting. It'd be interesting to see, you know, on the big screen how it all played out. I'm sure there's a lot of folks who have stories that just, you know, tells you an even deeper truth of what went on, and you know, from everything leading up to this, to the eventual shootout. So I'd like to see that. Larry Davis himself, like Spider-Man said, he's no saint, but he at least stood up for what he believed in a sense. You know, he did his thing, selling drugs and whatnot. He said he was good on that. He tried to bounce, and then they wouldn't really let him. So, and I mean, another thing I saw is that, you know, he also had some of the money from the police, but it's just like he made that money selling illegal stuff. So you don't really have a claim to it. To try to have a claim to it afterwards is like some mobster gangland type shit. Like, oh well, you sold our illegal drugs, now you owe us that money. It's just like, no, like it's essentially I'm robbing you, and now you could go to the police, which you are, and be like, yeah, he robbed us, or let me have this, I'm out the game, deuces. So that's what it's just like, he knew, and everybody in the mama knows. They went there that night. It wasn't a raid, it was a hit. Point blank period. That's what it was. So I don't have it like I said before, I have no sympathy for any of the police for that day, any of the police involved. It was proven that there was corruption in that department. So it's just like, again, why am I gonna feel sorry? Even the police, even some of the officers and whatnot that were there that day, like y'all said, some of them loved it, some of them liked it. You know, I remember one quote from one of the officers was just like, the verdict was racist because of Spider-Man bringing up the whole all-black jury. And it's just like the irony to me, the motherfucking irony, the unmitigated gall to say that.
You gonna look back at this whole history of this country at everybody being tried, and then you gonna say, oh, no, this wasn't the right thing. No, justice wasn't served.
Crazy.
Fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that in and of itself, again, why I don't have much sympathy for the cops that day. It's just like, you guys have been proven to do a lot of fuck shit. Like, we've seen it. It's even on camera, even in today's day and age. Like we said, DNA wasn't around until the 90s. So we don't even know what the hell was going on before then. So there's just so much that deals with them. Like I said, it reminded me of Fred Hampton, just how that whole thing went down. Luckily, you know, he was awake. And, you know, he had a gun also on his person in that moment to defend himself, because if not, he definitely would have been killed a whole lot sooner than 2008. So Larry Davis definitely deserves his own movie, definitely deserves to have his story told to like the broader masses, and it needs to be brought up also the corruption of the police and how, you know, we may have let them go. They're kind of like, the police are a wild dog that's just, you can't put back in his cage, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, whether you want to say they started with good intentions, whether you want to say that they started with, being slave, slave patrol and whatnot, what we are told as children is that they are there to protect and serve us.
Mm-hmm.
But they have grown beyond that now. And it's too late to really, I kind of think, I feel like it's a little bit too late to put them in the box that they should have stayed in, to protect and serve, not give them so much immunity, so much power, so many guns and so many things. Because for the police to need that many guns would mean that they are afraid of the very civilians that they are supposed to protect and serve. And so there's there's something there where it's just not adding up to me. Like I said, you can't hate the government, but then say you love the police and say they need all these guns. Because then at the same time you're saying those very same police will come and take your guns. And so those very same police now need more guns to protect themselves from the guns that you say you need to protect yourself from them.
Mm-hmm. Think about that.
So yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things there that's not making sense. And so we kind of see it in the Larry Davis story where it's like those police had a lot of guns that day for a very simple, what they claimed at first to be just a search. Yeah, a questioning. Later on, it's supposed to be an arrest. It's just like a lot of things not adding up. And even then, when we go back to the populace and the masses, it ain't adding up that y'all praise the police so much just to say you need to defend yourself from them at the same time. So there's a lot of things to unpack with this story of Larry Davis. I believe he's a hood legend, a hood hero. He deserves a title. And to be able to do all that so young, and then a lot of the stuff afterwards with the whole being behind the mayor, I'm just like, hey, kudos. My applause to you. That was Joker-esque. And yeah, so that's my final thoughts on Larry Davis.
Word. Yo, from what you guys told and all the messages you guys been finding in the story of Larry Davis, that's probably one of the craziest things I'm getting from this. It's amazing. You guys all found, like, what's the word, themes or like things that are exposing through the story. Like, there's so many things that's happening in the story, so many things you can draw from Larry Davis. It's like a non-fiction story that you only find in fictionary books. And the lessons that you get from this type of shit is like vast, like from police corruption to him being able to defend his family, to a man being put in a certain situation, to law and all types of shit like that. Like, the black people have a fair chance in court. You know what I'm saying? It's all deeper meanings to everything in the story, and there's so many parts to it. Him trying to go out on his own terms, but him also being dangerous and crazy for having a hostage for a family and all that. All them points, all these things that are coming out of this story, it tells me that it's like there's so much to go off in this story, and this is a legitimate thing. And this is what legends are made of: stories that make you think and make you want to understand more. So that's what I'm getting from this Larry Davis story, and you guys get so much from it. It's showing me, it's telling that there's so much in it. I think people would need to know this guy. I think his story should be spread out more. More people got to hear about this man, because this is a story you got to hear, and it makes you like, it's just in the modern world you just don't hear shit like this. It's always some crazy violent bullshit, but like this is like one of those stories that you can't. How could you root for anybody else? Not whether he's black, white, whatever. This is a story of a man that like went through some shit and came out the other end alive. He fought, like, you know what I'm saying? In the end, we know what happened, but he's still in that moment. He went through some hell, literal hell that I don't know many people can go through and come out the other end. He came out the other end because he fought his way out the other end, and he fought to survive to the point where he could go on his own terms. You know, so that is definitely something. And he went out on his own terms, no matter how you slice it. You know, whether he went to jail or whatever, that way he accepted that I'm gonna turn myself in, and anything that comes with it, that's come with it. But he chose that time. He wasn't gonna just gun him down just like that. He's like, I'm gonna go out like this. Maybe I could survive a little bit longer. I'm already dead. When they came into my house, when I quit selling drugs for them, I'm a dead man. I'm already a dead man.
Mm-hmm.
So once you accept that, everything afterwards is just whatever. Me fighting for my life inside the house, and then me going to prison and trying to survive that. That's just what it is. It's either this or me being dead right there in that moment when they're coming at me.
So he continued selling drugs, pushing crack in the black community, or he stood up on his principles and fought against the system.
Yeah.
He chose to fight against the system. He chose to go out, like you said, go out on his own terms. He's not going to continue pushing this poison into the neighborhoods no more. She's seen, it's sad that it took so long, and it took his girlfriend and his child dying for him to awaken. But once he woke up, it was on and popping. You couldn't tell him shit after that.
Exactly. That's all I got. That's all I got. Anybody want to take us out of here?
Yeah, man. Once again, this has been Barely Broke Podcast. And it's your boy, Low Fro, you know, with DIV and Screwface Susano MG. This is Barely Broke Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the little notification bell. Check us out on all the major platforms, baby. Let's go. Bring the beat in, man. We out.
Police is on a manhunt from Manhattan to the Bronx, looking for Larry Davis. Fuck the streets, so we had to close down spots, man. Being honest.
Coming down on the bus, 41 bus, and the whole Webster Avenue after Fordham Road was shut down.